Get the show started with fireworks. Well, we got my good friend Michael Gorski in the house with RevForce. Um, we got a chance to connect in Dallas just this month,
Hmm.
and it's a great time. I was very intrigued with what you're doing with RevForce, and I wanted to see if we can bring some value because I think the gap that we're kind of in a similar situation where we're filling in the gap of the human resources, right? Like there's a huge gap right now in the market with AI coming up, automations getting like really scientific right now,
Hmm.
and so you're kind of creating a great opportunity for the workforce who want to switch into the tech world, and they may have the education, but they may not have the hands-on training that they need to make that transition. So I want to welcome you to the show, Michael. I
Thank
think
you.
you're doing something phenomenal. Why don't you give us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and how did you stumbled upon RevForce?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. Again, appreciate making the connection in Dallas. Just a handful of a week or two ago, and yeah, I'm just excited to be here and be part of the podcast. So my background is actually not in tech, believe it or not. I went to school, and I was an English literature major. So I studied all different types of different English journalism to the classics, but I eventually fell in love with sales and marketing from the written word or copywriting. I
Hmm.
found any type of book that I can find on how to write effective sales copy, and that's what really drew me in. And then I realized that successful sales copy through like being able to put that onto websites, being able to put that into emails, being able to put that into additional flyers or digital collateral has really spun me into thinking this other world of what is the digital economy and the broader digital ecosystem.
Hmm.
So my wife and I, she is the creative when it comes to making graphics, designing anything. She's just an artist. She's absolutely fantastic. And so for years, what we would do is we would create and design and build websites. I would do all the sales copy, the SEO, all the written word stuff, and the metadata. And then she would just put all the pretty graphics together. So we'd match the sales copy with the imagery, and we create websites, and that's what we did for a long period of time before we actually stumbled upon starting our own agency and leveraging a very powerful tool that most of us are very familiar with already, and just linking up with that software publisher and then just really going full force.
That's awesome, man. That's a great story. So now, how did you make the transition? Or I think you're still running your agency as well right now.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so now with the agency, now how did you come up with the idea of RevForce? So talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so when we were doing website development work, I mean, the whole goal was to build a website that builds revenue or generates revenue
Hmm.
for a company, right? That's the whole point. If you don't build or generate revenue, you become out of business. So Rev is actually short for revenue, and Force is a force of individuals or a force to be reckoned with to help companies, small and medium-sized companies, generate revenue,
Hmm.
specifically leveraging technology and automations.
Hmm.
So that's the idea, the brainchild behind RevForce. It's a group of individuals, digital professionals. They come into organizations, they look at systems, they look at operations and say, okay, how can we fill the gaps? How can we make this business more efficient that generates revenue for the end user or the end customer?
Love it, man. I think you guys are on to something major here. It's a um, big need in the market. And another question on this, Michael, for you is, how are you making that connection of the human aspect of people coming in inside your clients' businesses? Are these people like you're just training them and placing them inside these businesses, or are they contractors they're going in, or are you just training these people and then they're better equipped of finding that next gig for themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's situationally based. So sometimes we train individuals and then we put them on a milestone or on a deployment. So they work as a fractional technology person or a technology specialist within an organization to get what milestones we've established beforehand implemented. Now,
Hmm.
depending on the scope of work and the timeline, that operator can then leave, which they put all the systems and parameters in place. Also, we've developed SOPs that we can turn over to the business client that they can run the shop,
Hmm.
or we can train their internal personnel to have all that. Our operator can leave, or the operator is like, listen, I've gelled well with these people and they said they'll make a position for me within their organization and they get absorbed. Fantastic. Now you have full-time employment. So you started off as either a 1099 or only a project-based service provider. Now you
Hmm.
got full-time income because of the value you showed and the results you provided.
Yeah, I think like the real reason that this is a great idea is because it's the human factor of the marketing side that we're missing out. Like it can't just all be automations. It's going to have to be, obviously these are the things and the tools, but who's running this for you, right? Like that's the biggest part of the equation that we don't even think about, right? Like who we're going to have to work with, probably a marketing agency. And then as you build your company out, you're going to have your internal marketing team. You're going to have your own marketing department. And as we grow from being a startup or a one-man show and start building these things out, you kind of like, it's just like trial and error, kissing a lot of frogs and things like that. But that's why I think Michael and I are here, right? Like we're trying to help people so that they don't make the same mistakes that like I've gone through, at least over the last 15 years in my agency career.
Yeah.
Working with contractors, spending millions and millions of dollars in paying out these things, working with other agencies, and just like making a lot of ton lot of mistakes. Most of them, the most expensive one will happen around hiring people and getting
Yeah.
the wrong people in the door, right? Like, do you agree, Mike?
Oh, 100%. 100%, because you invest all that time, energy, and resources into a person just to find out they're not the right fit, and then they leave, and then guess what? You're back to square one. And the
Yeah,
operation of what you were trying to work on is just as where it was, right?
yeah.
So yeah, it's extremely important, and that's why I think you and I had a conversation about this too, about like making sure that when you're finding these people that you want to do these types of training and coaching and develop them, that they are indeed, there's the raw material there that's the right fit. They have the right value system or belief system that you share.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because when I'm out, really, because it's talent acquisition, talent optimization, but really, if you're building a championship team, you're a talent scout. You're looking for the right people, and a lot of them come with some basic characteristics that are just non-negotiables, which
Hmm.
is number one is honest. They got to be an honest person. If they're a pathological liar or they're always figure a way to cut corners and manipulate, I don't want to work with you. I'm sorry, but it's a little brash, but like I don't want to work with you. And chances are, majority of people out there won't want to work with you either. So
Yeah,
honesty is so important. And then teachability, or being a coachable person, because you're gonna have to learn things, right?
yeah.
So you're gonna have to be able to accept, feedback. And it's yeah, from lack of a better word, it is a bruise the ego. It could be an ego check.
Hmm.
But if you're willing to go the miles and go the distance, then you'll eventually learn to put your ego aside, at least personal ego, and develop a team ego or an
Hmm.
organizational ego, which is vastly different than just someone trying to be, a rock star all to themselves.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's where company like RevForce comes in. That's why businesses pay so much to marketing agencies, because they trust that the people that they've put together in their core group, they're already vetted, and they have the necessary trainings, they have the necessary mindset, like you're talking about, right? Like for us, integrity and work ethic and leadership mindset and a coachable mindset, these are part of our values. Like we don't hire people if they don't fit any of these criteria. So we've done the hard work so that you don't have to make those mistakes. So starting out with people that you can trust, that that have systems and processes in place, And like what you said, Michael, right? Like if somebody, what usually happens is that if I'm a new business coming up, I'm going to hire a few people, and then this marketing person ends up and leaves, and he takes everything that he set up with him, right? I have no clue what's going on. So, working with you, for example, like you guys will bring not just the human resource in, but you bring in the systems and processes that belong to that business now. So even
Yeah,
if you have to replace out that person, another person can come in and take his place, right?
absolutely. It's a replacement leadership driven model. So, because yes, stuff happens, life happens, and maybe that person was dealing with something personally that they can't now do the fulfillment work.
Hmm.
But you can slot someone in that's most multidisciplinary or has some kind of cross-sectional skill set. And here are
Hmm.
the SOPs, here are the guidelines that you can just pick up the ball and run from this point forward. And it really, what happens is you empower not only the operator that's actually going to do the technical fulfillment, but you also empower the business that you're working with, the business client. Like,
Hmm.
listen, man, like I'm not withholding anything from you because
Yeah.
these are your assets. These drive your business forward.
Yeah.
And if you got to make quick adjustments and pivots, like obviously this is a dated example, but what happened in 2020 with COVID? You know,
Hmm.
everyone was in a scramble mode, right? And then they're calling out to their service provider, "Hey, what do I do here? Hey, oh my God!" Right?
Yeah.
It's a relatable example because we all went through it.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so,
Fun times.
oh man, we can have a lot of conversations. I'll keep it PG for now. Um, but to the point being, like small businesses, any type of business, they have to adjust with the marketplace, and
Yeah.
you want to equip them with the tools, resources that they can do that effectively. And it's crazy because oftentimes I get a little bit of pushback, like, so you're saying you're giving all this to them? Yes. Yes,
Hmm.
absolutely. I'm empowering them. Well, aren't you afraid? I'm like, no, no, I'm not. The reason, and this is the brilliance, because the more you give, actually, believe it or not, the more they want to come back and work with you. It's not that just they take it and run away with it. They want to actually engage with you even more. And the biggest component of here is having an abundance mindset. There is so much opportunity out there. There are so many people that need your assistance and need your help. You have to be of value, and you have to constantly, like, I don't know, that's my personal opinion, but
Yeah. No, I love it, man. I think that's the need of the hour, and right place, right time. Perfect. Michael, thanks for doing this, man. Let's move into our three more question segment. So I
yeah,
have three questions prepared for you.
yeah,
I want your honest opinions on these, man. Here's question number one. What AI tools can agencies use to today to improve their processes?
So AI tools, there is a litany. I mean, there's so many. I mean, my goodness, right? I feel like,
Give me like one or two, like that you think is the lowest hanging fruit for agencies who are just dabbling with AI right now.
yeah, obviously, like most of us already know how to use ChatGPT, or they're using leveraging it. But the thing is, getting good at using AI tools.
And you'd be surprised how many people are still not using it,
Oh, okay.
even in the agency world. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So that's one big one. And the thing around ChatGPT, and obviously there's free versions and pro versions that you can pay for, is learning how to become a prompt engineer. You got to warm up the AIs to like, people think like they're just putting in these really like bland or generalized statements, and the AI is spitting something back out at them that's like below par. It's like,
Hmm.
well, AI, like everything else in life, think about it this way, is inputs and outputs. What you put
Hmm.
in is what you get out. So if you're trying to put quality prompts in there and you have a really solidified objective of what you want the AI to do, then it's going to prompt you back. And
Hmm.
then obviously you refine it as you go through it. So ChatGPT is a big one. For us in our agency, we leverage GoHighLevel, which is a fantastic software. Obviously, Azar, you know about this as well. And there's already a pre-established AI built into it and a ton of automations when it
Hmm.
comes to email sequences, when it comes to SMS messaging, when it comes to just overall workflow automations, build outs, just sequential build outs, depending on what you
Hmm.
want the sequence to do. Those are two primary ones that I use because I'm familiar with them. And again, with tools, it's not about necessarily the tool you're using. It's what do you want the outcome to be, and
Yeah.
that will help you determine what tool to use.
Yeah, I think fantastic. I think that's perfect. Like for every agency, they need to have like a great CRM tool.
Yep,
And I think like we're already sold on high level.
exactly.
Michael and I are like we're fully committed. Shout out to the high level team for like revolutionizing the agency world with their software, and they're making it better every single day.
It was
So
absolutely like a miracle when we actually stumbled upon it, because before that, like most agencies, we were picking so many other things to
and then
use.
also I feel that like you kind of needed to be like a proper level traction, like like 20-30 thousand dollars before you can even think about investing in a tool like, for example, HubSpot. Salesforce is like way up there, but even HubSpot's extremely expensive.
Mhm.
And like like I ran my agency, I couldn't even think of until I stumbled upon high level in 2020. Like it was, I dabbled with free versions of HubSpot and stuff, but I was a smaller agency, I couldn't even afford any of that stuff. Now
Right.
like all of a sudden this is like completely affordable. It's got AI built into it. And you can do amazing things, right? Like the speed of an agency growth has just accelerated with this type of software. So great shout out to high level. I think that's perfect answer. Here's this question number 2 for you,
Mhm.
Michael. So what are the best practices when building out long-term teams for agencies or businesses who have marketing departments?
I think this goes back a little bit to our earlier conversation about just finding the right people, right? Just understanding that when you're having conversations with individuals, make sure that they match your company ethos, that they are, and especially if you're building a remote team, because now
Hmm.
there's more flexibility. And so when
Hmm.
individuals come to you and they already have, either they've worked remotely in the past, so they understand how to do it effectively, because not everyone knows how to work remotely, believe it or not, or they do
Hmm.
it really poorly because they have a little bit more autonomy, which you want, because autonomy also breeds creativity. I don't
Hmm.
want I don't want it to be structured too rigid, because when there's more autonomy, people can come up with more creative solutions. They're able to
Hmm.
think differently, right? So that's one thing, is obviously making sure that the people are fairly disciplined, and they understand what a remote first culture is. And if
Yeah.
they don't, your job as a leader is to help manage those expectations. And of course, you have weekly or bi-weekly cadence, or checkpoints, or weekly calls to make sure people are doing what they need to do if those conversations need to be had. But if you are leveraging good technology via like a project management system, for us internally, for example, we leverage ClickUp, and
Hmm.
it's very detailed and robust, and you can mention people in there, so you can also, as a senior level leadership or upper level management, you can see the progress of happening based on what the current initiatives or the current projects are going on.
Yeah.
And again, this is not, if work is not being done, it's not being fulfilled, or something's going on that this task has been on the board and yet it hasn't been touched. Either what's happening.
Hmm.
And it's not to come down on someone that's not working. Like, is there something going on? Maybe your workload is too much that
Hmm.
you haven't got to us. And if that's the case, no big deal. We just need to prioritize your workload structure. So
Hmm.
but this goes back to what we're really, like, we mentioned about AIs and automations and all this stuff, but at the end of the day, it's still a human being that's using the tech, right? So you have to be high tech and high touch. Now, the only way to be high touch remotely is obviously when we have screen time like you and I are having right now.
Hmm.
But the high tech is, the CRM, the project management tools, all the other technology that you're leveraging.
I love it, man. So hire the right people. Make sure you put them through the right trainings, especially for the remote first culture these days. Like people don't know what to expect. So like it's a big, like people are completely unaware.
Yeah.
Nobody's training them. We just got thrown into it in 2020, and people are still struggling with it. And then I think having regular check-ins, like you said, with your people, it's a must. We can't read people's minds, and then leveraging technology like ClickUp, you said, is a big one, right? Like I truly believe that, especially for a marketing department and marketing agency, like if you're still operating without a project management tool like ClickUp, um, I think you need to rethink your priorities, because even though we're the creative types, but the project management tool is what gives us our creativity some structure, right? Otherwise, like, we'll be just going crazy, man. Yeah, I got this idea, that idea. And like, I've seen people getting burned out like this, right? If they're not using tracking their day, they're not tracking their tasks and things like that, things get thrown at the marketing team all the time, and before you know it, your marketing team is going to get burnt out. You got to keep everything logged into your project management system.
Yeah, and honestly, in our team, we have been extremely blessed and fortunate to have two of our certified admins that are now part of the RevForce team. They came out of corporate America, and they were senior level project managers and product owners.
Nice.
So they came in, Mark and Mary, two separate folks, and they helped us put together a project management system based on their 20 years of experience.
Love
So,
it. And you
and
guys built it out in ClickUp?
in ClickUp, yes. And the best part about that was we also do this thing called battle buddies. So I partner
Mm.
you up with someone that's kind of close in your department. So it's basically it's an accountability system. We call them battle buddies. That's our internal lingo. Um,
Nice.
but Mark and Mary were battle buddies, and they're the ones that put together our project management system within ClickUp. And then they've created trainings, internal trainings for myself and my wife and the rest of our team to go through. I'm like, Mark, you're the product owner on this. Own it. Like again,
Mm.
I'm giving you autonomy. You in this department, you're leading me. I'm not leading you because I'm incompetent. I'm leveraging your competency. And that's, I
Smart.
think, also what a strong leader does within their own agency or within their corporation or business. When you don't know something, it's okay to say, I don't know. Someone please help me. And
Yeah,
then,
I think our job as leader is to, find the right people to get to that point, right? Like, it's not about anything else. It's just like, how do we get to that point? I'm gonna get there with people, and just find the right people and get out of their way, right? Like, just please
exactly,
get away with this ego and all of that stuff. It's
precisely,
okay. Let people do their jobs.
correct.
Um,
Yeah.
Here's another one for you, and my last question for you, Michael, is how do you choose which processes to automate first? Do you go at them like I'm sure there's you know so many businesses, so much going on. When you
Yeah.
first get into a business, like, how do you pick, like, what's the lowest hanging fruit?
Yeah, I think that comes down to having a pretty good like discovery call and diagnostics first, and then
Hmm.
looking through that through the lens of which one of these processes impact the businesses the most, the business bottom line the most, whether
Hmm.
it's decreasing operational expenditures or increasing revenue generation. Now,
Hmm.
sometimes it could be delicate balance depending on the business, their margins, and a lot of other details. I'm not going to go into that.
Hmm.
Um, but you have to look through the lens of what are some of the monotonous, mundane tasks that this person in this department is doing that's really eating up their time clock. Like,
Hmm.
Steve, every week, 2 hours is based on this kind of mundane task. Can we
Hmm.
automate that so Steve gets 2 hours of his life back?
Yeah.
Because then whatever Steve's salary is as a business owner that you're paying, well, Steve is making $50 an hour. That's what I'm paying him as an employer.
Hmm.
Okay, so every week, Steve is costing you $100 or $400 a month just to do this silly thing. Do you realize how we can change that and put some systems in place that not
Yeah.
only does Steve get his time back, but now the human being gets to do what only the human can do. What else does Steve can do to help his other fellow teammates out? What else can he
Yeah.
do that actually impacts the bottom line of the business?
Now you get to take that $500 or $1,000 a month that you saved in their hours. Now you get to invest that in somewhere that you can get more for your, right. It's just like media buying. If you think of it, that's a great analogy, Michael. Love it, right? Like, we don't think about these things like that.
it's effective resource allocation. You have
Hmm.
resources over here, they're working, but they're not being leveraged the way they to their
Yeah,
full.
they're doing a $10 an hour task. They're doing a free task, right? That AI
Yeah.
can do. Identify those things first, free up the time. And another thing that I've noticed on my side is that, for just to give you an example, on my HR team, we
Hmm.
get like 2,000, 3,000 resumes a month. So, my frontline HR people, they're still having to go into these resumes, screen these resumes on a daily basis, like hundreds of resumes, and then shortlist them and all of that stuff. So we figured out a way of automating this stuff, right? And like this was like, it's okay in the start, but like if you're doing the same thing, like just screening resumes over and over again for the next 6 months, like
Oh
I
my
would
God.
hate to be in that shoes, right? So that's what we picked out, that hey, this process needs to be automated. So now what
Exactly.
we're doing is that we're training an AI to see what we've hired over the last 6 months and what all the resumes that have come in. And now, like, that first part where most of the time was being spent, which can be completely automated, is now going to be over. And my people can now sit back and just go and have these amazing conversations with already pre-selected people that have been shortlisted by AI and things like that. So that was a huge breakthrough for us.
Yeah, I was gonna say you created a AI selection process. The AI does all the pre-sorting, and that way, again, now the human can actually go do the human work,
Yeah, the
right?
human work is that you go and have that second R2, we call it the R2 interview, right?
Mhm.
They don't even have to call them. We've like automated it to a point where the call gets even booked in, and our HR people just have to show up from one call to the next. So now they're eliminated everything that was just holding them back or burning them out, and now they're just doing the crux of the work, which is like having that eye looking into your eyes and having that real conversation. Hey, why do you really want to work here, right? Like that's AI can't still do that, and I need a human to do that. So there it is.
I think you make a good point too here, Azar, about leveraging AI in your own internal business processes and kind of
Hmm.
flushing it out. And then when you do have an opportunity to speak with other clients, well, here's what we did internally with us. And let me show
Hmm.
you how that worked. So
Hmm.
it's like I feel so confident this is going to work for you. I'm doing it for myself.
Hmm.
So,
Exactly.
and a lot of times people think like, man, just kind of be your own guinea pig, so to speak. Be customer
Yeah.
zero.
Yeah,
Flush
that's
it.
kind of what we do with GHL as well. Even though we're not a GHL agency, but
Yeah,
we're like fully invested in GHL because so many of our people work in GHL. Like
yeah,
for internally, every like even our recruitment tool, like we built it out in GHL, man.
yeah.
So it used to be like tool called Bamboo HR, really really expensive, and
Hmm.
then over the last 6 months, we were able to build all our recruitment is happening 100% inside GHL right now, all automated and all of that stuff. All right, man. So I want to go to the next section. This is going to be a rapid fire round called Three More Ideas. And
Hmm.
I'm going to throw some terminologies at you. I want to hear what you think about them.
Hmm.
So here's the first one: company culture.
I think it's critical. And like I put company culture as servant leadership for us. Your job is to
Hmm.
serve one another, and not just the customers, but your fellow teammates, not just your battle buddy. If you see someone that needs help and assistance, your job is to serve. And I think that's so important because it
Yeah.
continues to keep, again, a healthy team ego, a team perspective. So just servant leadership. And one other thing is decentralized command, meaning if you're the closest to the situation and it's within your purview of your roles and responsibilities, make a decision. You're
Hmm.
closest to it. That's your job. You do this on a day-to-day basis and make a decision. And if it doesn't pan out the way it hoped, that's okay. And if you need to escalate it, by all means. But just don't sit there on your, sitting on your hands waiting for someone else to show up.
Hmm.
Make a decision.
Love
It's
it.
okay.
Yeah, I think it's paramount company culture, and I love how your leadership style is decentralized. And I'd have to pick more of your brains on your leadership style because I'm getting very intrigued. But we're in rapid fire, so leave it at that. Here's my second one. Favorite business book.
Uh, favorite business book is, man, it's a toughie. And we used this last 2 weeks ago in Dallas, but the E Myth by Michael Gerber, that
Hmm.
was definitely life changing for us. Yeah, to think,
E-Myth by Michael Gerber.
yeah, to think through your business systematically and understanding the entrepreneur's role, the operations role, and also the technician's role.
Yeah, love it. It's a great book. And here's my last one. GHL certified admin.
Do it.
Easiest investment in yourself.
Hey, yeah, man. Obviously, you and I are cut from the same cloth when it comes to the certified admin community. We see a tremendous amount of value in it,
Hmm.
and I just saw today. There's like, as of today's date recording, there's over like 1,500 people that are overall enrolled in it, but only like 209 certified admins.
209 certified admins out of 70,000 plus subscribers that these guys have.
Yeah,
That is a very minute people who are like fully accredited to serve this community. So there's a huge gap here.
exactly right. Exactly right. The pie is infinitely huge, and it's
Hmm.
scalable.
And people
Um,
are hungry, man. Like you can find help for others, CRMs and things like that. But when it comes down to GHL, it's a new software. People are just like really people need help,
mhm,
and it's like really difficult to find the right help. So I
exactly.
think the certified admin just puts you right up there. Like you become like just like what Michael you just said, like 200 people out of a community of 70,000 paying users, and even out of that, like 1,500 registered people. So like you want to talk about putting yourself in an elite class. Go out there and get your GHL certified admin certificate.
Yeah, yeah. And the bare minimum, if you don't want to just be a service provider, helping other businesses, just learning the technical knowledge for yourself will help you just become efficient in running the software for yourself, for your own
Yeah.
business. So, I mean, there's so many avenues that you can go when you go through the certified admin community. And, hats off to Michael, Alicia, and now Jason, who are running that program. They're doing a tremendous job helping all of us. And I know there's more coming. There's more training that they're going to be deploying soon. And that's exciting because as we grow, so does the certification program and all of us together, right? It's just many hands make light work. It's fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic. Michael, thanks for doing this, man. It was a pleasure talking to you. Um, Reach out to Michael if you have any questions, if you want to build systems and processes, if you want to place people who can come in and like revolutionize your business. Talk to my good friend and hopefully yours too now, Michael Gorski at RevForce. Thanks, Michael. We'll talk to you soon, my friend.